the Republican Main Street Partnership. The Twitter handle is at Main Street GOP. Congressman, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I was looking at this, and I know you're a supporter of John Kasich, correct?
Yes, I was with him yesterday in Strongsville, Ohio, yes.
And Mitt Romney is going on the trail with the governor now, correct?
Yeah, well, yeah, he is, and he's doing ads and so forth and so on, and things are looking good.
What's your sense of Ohio right now? Is that an easy, well, not easy, nothing's easy these days, but is that a very possible win for Governor Kasich tomorrow?
I think it's a possible and a likely win. The latest numbers that I saw when I was there, he's up by about 6 points in one poll. There's another poll that has him down a little bit. But you can feel the energy on the street. We were in my old district in Strongsville, for your listeners, just outside of Cleveland, south of Cleveland, by a little bit. And the place was packed. It was jumping. People were ready to go. He is upbeat. I mean, I got to tell you, he's feeling good. And I think that, I think he's got a pretty good shot of pulling it off tomorrow. And, I was listening to your sort of run-up to this, and Ohio's a winner-take-all state for the Republicans tomorrow, so it's 66 delegates. And all of a sudden you're in the driver's seat, and over the weekend, I believe Kasich picked up 9. The other couple picked up 11 and 10, and Donald Trump didn't pick up any. And so, Big Mo could really get a big boost tomorrow for the Kasich people.
That's a good point you make, is that Marco Rubio with the win in Washington, D.C.'s caucus, and John Kasich coming in second, but because of their proportion, 10 delegates for Marco Rubio, 9 for John Kasich, and I think Ted Cruz picked up 1 in Guam over the weekend. So that's where it stands right now, 460 to 370 to 163 to 63 for John Kasich at 63. I want to ask about the other day. Marco Rubio made it clear, and his communications director had said this in an interview on CNN with John Berman, that he was going to urge people who would maybe vote for him, if you were not going to vote for him, to vote for John Kasich, even if you were a supporter of Marco Rubio in Ohio, to vote for John Kasich, because that would keep Donald Trump from getting the victory in Ohio. Does that kind of a message, in your opinion, resonate with voters? Is it that strong a feeling against Donald Trump that people would be convinced to vote against Donald Trump by voting for John Kasich?
Yeah, I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, in the Plain Dealer yesterday, Cleveland newspaper, they had a little blurb that Josh Mandel, who was the Senate candidate in the last round for the Republicans, but also their state treasurer, was a Rubio endorser early on, to the disappointment of some people in Ohio, and he wound up in the face of that voting for Rubio anyway. And I think people don't like the concept. I mean, one of the things that I saw when I was talking to people before, during, and after the rally yesterday is people don't like this notion of being against somebody. People want to be for somebody, and so I think that you're going to see people who are for Kasich vote for Kasich. It's not going to be an anti-Trump vote, but it's going to be for John. And John yesterday in his remarks really emphasized that. And it was interesting in writing on his bus going up to the event. He was lamenting what had happened in Chicago the night before the Trump rally. And he said, I just don't even get this. This whole I'm against stuff, and we're going to fight with people and take them out and beat them and things like that. So no, I don't think that has a widespread impact. I do think it, tamps down the enthusiasm of the Rubio supporters to show up in the rain tomorrow. But
one of the other things, Steve LaTourette, former congressman, is with us. We're talking about the Ohio primary as one of the big ones tomorrow. As he said, winner take all 66 delegates. Donald Trump has been trying to portray John Kasich as a supporter of NAFTA and therefore costing a lot of Ohioans their jobs. And I wonder if you might be able to respond to that.
Well, sure. I mean, first of all, it's laughable. I mean, Donald Trump is I think the biggest job exporter in the race, first of all. And sadly for him, the record is there. I mean, and that's why, aside from the fact that John's my friend, the reason I support John is he's actually governed something. And so we don't have to guess, that he's done this or hasn't done that. And the evidence is there. 400,000 new jobs under his watch. Ohio's gone from having $1 billion deficit to a $2 billion surplus. And so he's proven that he knows how to do this. He's proven that he knows how to govern. He's proven he knows how to bring jobs back to Ohio. And, and sadly and fairly, there's really nobody else in the race that has done any of those things.
I don't know how comfortable you are discussing the Democratic side of things, but
Yeah.
it seems that Senator Sanders has been making some inroads into Hillary Clinton using that same argument, and that is that she was supporting Trump or supporting some of these trade deals when her husband was president, and as a result of that, we've seen a loss of jobs, and that therefore we need to have a different approach to these sorts of things. I'm not sure if you think that he's got a chance of winning in Ohio, or if that message is finding an audience among some disaffected sort of middle-class, white, working-class voters in Ohio.
Yeah, well, two things on that. No, I don't think he has a good shot in Ohio. The Clinton roots are deep in Ohio, and not because of her. It's quite frankly because of her husband, and she's tight with with sort of the Democratic establishment in Ohio and so forth and so on. But I will say this: as I was driving around yesterday, the only people that were waving signs at intersections and so forth were feeling the burn. They weren't Hillary people. So but there are some people. I mean, Ohio is a labor union labor intensive state, still is. And there are a lot of people that feel that NAFTA is responsible for some of the difficulties that they've encountered over the last few years. They blame NAFTA for that. And so he will pick up some of that disaffected vote. He will pick up. I saw some young college kids who were all excited about Bernie Sanders yesterday up in Cleveland. So he'll do okay, but I don't look for Michigan, the sequel, as you were talking about.
Once again, on the subject of John Kasich and his record, there's a New York Times story that came out. I think it actually hit the online yesterday, but it may be in the print edition today. But it talks about how the record of success for John Kasich is more nuanced than he portrays it. Noting that he closed the budget shortfall in Ohio in part by cutting aid to local governments, forcing some of them to raise their own taxes or cut services. And there's a quote from Rhea Helderman, who is the executive vice president of the Buckeye Institute for Public Policy Solutions, saying that Ohio was intensive care. Governor Kasich came in and really stabilized the patient, but we're still a sick state, economically speaking. Maybe you could just discuss that in broad terms about whether or not Ohio is headed in the right direction.
Oh yeah, nobody's in great shape when it comes to that. I mean, if you talk to people are concerned and worried. We're doing a lot of door-to-door at Main Street in a couple of the congressional districts in Ohio, and people are concerned. I mean, and it's interesting, they're concerned for their kids. I mean, we have more verbatims where you go to the door and they say, we're really watching this economy because my daughter, my son, they're just about to graduate high school, college, whatever the case may be, and we're a little nervous about, the job prospects and so forth and so on. So, yeah, I think it's still a little tepid, but I will tell you that just in terms of moving forward and confidence where none was under the previous administration in Ohio, it's there. And it's interesting, that mixed record. I mean, and John was talking yesterday about, some folks, Indiana as an example, and others have sort of sold their turnpike and so forth and so on. And John and his administration leveraged it, brought in $1 billion, were able to bolster things, right the ship, and so forth and so on. And so a mixed message, and that some people have to go through some hard times to get to good times. But I got to tell you, like the country at $19 trillion in debt, the way that you stay in bad times is to not try to make a difference. And John's done that.
Congressman, I appreciate you joining us. I did want to mention, by the way, I saw a picture tweeted out by your former colleague in the House, Speaker John Boehner, with his newly cut front lawn, and he seems to be having a great time cutting the grass.
Well, you know what? He was down in Butler County over the weekend, and he finally endorsed John Kasich for president. I thought, that's a little late, but good for him. And maybe he's just busy with lawn work. You've explained it to me, so thank you.
Steve LaTourette, thank you for joining us on Post.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Former Congressman Steve LaTourette from Ohio. He's chair of the Republican Main Street Partnership. The Twitter handle is @Main Street G.